What happens when God is the center of your love story?
The Love Seat.
Our first conversation together was on the phone because at the company where I worked at, it was like you had to find your own coverage. So if you wanted to take off. So I needed to take off that weekend. So I'm calling around to the different sites, just trying to find someone to work for me. And I called to his site and he answers the phone. And he's like, I'm like, I need someone to work for me and this weekend. And he asked me like a slew of questions. I'm like, okay, he's gonna do it, he's gonna do it. And he's like, no, I'm not gonna be able to do it. I'm like, really?
Well, we met at church and our pastor introduced us. And I thought he was cute, but he made a bad first impression. Said a corny joke that was like it was original when, it was common.
So Janae and I first met in high school. We were, I guess, more or less acquaintances.
But it wasn't until after we got married that we pretty soon realized that we were both born and raised in Chesapeake.
Yeah.
And that we were actually born in the same hospital 4 days apart.
Yeah, just 4 days apart.
We were on a choir together and all that. And we just became acquaintances. And people kept trying to match us up, but I wasn't interested and he wasn't interested.
And the infamous day, that Sunday morning, they just kept riding me about dating her till I just got so mad, nothing. An expletive came out. I'm sorry. But like what our pastor at our church says, God doesn't get upset. I asked for forgiveness, but I said, well, y'all just leave me alone? God, man, there's other people in here, just leave me alone.
But then he got switched to my site and I got to know him. And I thought he was kind of cute. And,
of course.
And he was really sweet and really kind and thoughtful. And nothing like what I originally thought about him. But he was really kind. Yeah.
Once I got transferred to her site, definitely we just connected in a way. Initially it was as friends. And so we connected in a way, because at the time she didn't tell you, she was dating someone at the time.
The one day, the Holy Spirit spoke to me and indicated to me that he was to be my husband. I was at a meeting, Kenneth Copeland meeting. Kenneth Copeland kept talking about him and Gloria, and the Holy Spirit kept saying, like you and James. And we're like, we're not like that. That's like, I'm not interested in him. And he doesn't meet everything on my list. And the Holy Spirit says, yeah, when you wrote that list, I didn't.
I had bought her a gift for her birthday. And at the time, we were still friends. And I started realizing that I had feelings for her. And I'm not sure if I had feelings first or she had feelings first, but
You definitely.
okay, I did. Okay. So I started having feelings for her, and I thought that, wow, this is a wonderful person. And so we started talking, and eventually she actually was no longer seeing this other person.
And so after high school, time had passed, and I just was in a time where I was looking, trying to find a girl, like every other guy. And during that time, Janae was there. I think I hopped on Facebook, and her face popped up. You know how Facebook says, like, do you know this person?
Yeah, he did. He sent me a random message out of the blue. It was very deep and philosophical and very random. I mean, it was very much like, hey, so when I find a wife, I want her to be like this, or something like that. And it was weird enough that I was like, I remember you from high school. I used to have a crush on you. I thought you were cute, but this is weird. Let me just put that to the side. I'm not really gonna engage. And then I think you maybe sent me another message later, and I was intrigued. I was intrigued enough to where I was like, you know what, let me respond.
I started meeting Charmaine because I drove a church van, and they had moved, and she was the first stop and the last stop. And when I dropped them off, her and I would just sit in the van and just talk. But there was a vision. When I say this, I didn't see visions, unless it was back in the day, but I'm not going back there. It was in a forest and was full of women. They were all in the dark except for one. And there's one person that came to the forefront in light, and it was Charmaine. So eventually, I got past the fear to ask her out. And with those dates, it led to something into marriage.
Well, I did get saved through dating my wife. Initially, when we started dating, I wasn't in the church at all. And I hadn't been in church. I think I was born and raised in Jamaica. And I came to the States in '93, and we met in '98. And never went to a single church service in all that time until I met Tamika. And so she introduced me to her church, and I started going. And of course, I went because I liked her, but I started going, and through her and her family, of course, her dad is a pastor, and through her persistence, I started going to church on my own, even without her, and I really found Christ through my wife. And my mother raised me the right way, but I believe that my wife introduced me to the righteousness of God.